Hey everyone, I'm Uncle Reddit, and welcome to my channel. Most days I do Tales from Tech Support stories, but every so often I like to write a little story of my own. Some parts of this story may be true, some may be a little embellished. I'll let you decide which part's which. This story's titled Bad Day. Have you ever just had one of those days? I mean, some days, stuff just happens, right? But this day was something special. I felt like I was having a bad dream or had just been cast in the Roger Rabbit movie. Nothing made sense. It was one chaotic thing after another. Had I ticked off some deity over the weekend? Stepped on a crack? Crossed paths with a black cat? Maybe I walked under a ladder or broke a mirror. Whatever it was, I was being severely punished for something. Let's start from when I woke up. It was 7 a.m. The sun was shining and the birds were chirping. It seemed like the stereotypical Disney movie scene. Only I didn't really notice the dark cloud that was hanging over my head. Looking at the clock, I noticed that I was now 30 minutes behind schedule. I was supposed to be up by 6:30. For some reason, my alarm that I had set the night before never went off at the allotted time. Great. Now I'm going to be late for work. So I get up and figure that this is the bad part of my day and that things should improve from here. It's at this point that I should have just rolled over and gotten a fresh start on Tuesday. As I start laying my clothes out for work, my wife started to screech about something that happened over the weekend. Something that I wasn't even involved in. I tried being sympathetic, but she kept pushing like somehow I was at fault. After a solid 5 minutes of being chastised for my perceived misdeeds, I decided to just keep my mouth shut and continue getting ready for work. I got my internal anxiety under control, mostly, and trudged toward the bathroom for my morning constitutional and a quick shower. As I sat on my throne, mentally planning my day, I looked to my side and noticed the sad-looking, empty toilet paper holder. Ugh. I stretched to the vanity cabinet to search for more TP, only to be greeted with a cabinet full of everything except TP. Not even a box of tissues to be found. Now my mood was really starting to sour. I won't go into the details of how I managed to take care of business, but suffice it to say the special guest-only hand towels that my wife had to special order are one towel short of a full set now. I finally got to my shower, figuring the nice hot water would relax me a bit before fighting traffic to get to the office. After washing the old dad bod, I started suzzing up my hair with whatever shampoo was available at the time. Just as I leaned in to rinse the shampoo from my head and face, my relaxing hot shower quickly turned into a slick fiberglass torture chamber. Evidently, my wife thought it would be a great idea to start a load of laundry. As the washer started, the water pressure dropped to nearly non-existent. I figured I would just stay put and wait for the pressure to return since I now had shampoo in my eyes and really couldn't go anywhere. After what seemed like an hour, the pressure was back, but the selfish washing machine kept all the hot water and sent me what was left. The shock of the icy water sent me straight to the back of the tub where I managed to slip and land on my back. By the time I got myself situated and returned to my feet, I was starting to get used to the water temperature and just rinsed the best I could. Surely this would be the bad part of my day and things would be looking up from here, right? Getting dressed was fairly uneventful, except I have no matching sets of socks for some strange reason. Oh well, I don't think anyone will notice one blue and one black sock. As I made my way downstairs toward the kitchen, I could hear my wife still going on with that same conversation in the other room. The only issue with that was that it was just the two of us in the house, and she wasn't on the phone. I better steer clear for now and deal with this later. Since I didn't have any time to spare, I just poured myself a spill-proof tumbler with my favorite coffee and headed for the front door. As I turned to say goodbye to my wife, I could hear her still wandering the house, grumbling and making some sort of clucking sound. From the sound of the footsteps and the clucking, she was wandering back and forth like that crazy chicken from the Moana movie. I decided it was best to let her work it out and slipped out as quietly as I could. Finally on the road. Just me, my tunes, a good cup of coffee, cruising along in my chariot. Okay, it was a 1995 Honda Civic, but at least it was paid off and saved a ton in gas money. As I was merging onto the interstate, there was a loud pop, and my steering went crazy. As I fought to keep control and pull to the shoulder, my spill-proof tumbler decided that it wasn't. Now, mismatched socks were the least of my worries. I looked like I peed myself. Ugh. That should make for some interesting conversation at the morning board meeting. Well, what better time to practice my tire changing skills? I found all the tools where they were supposed to be, and the spare even had air in it. Bonus. But, for some reason, I couldn't get that last lug nut off the wheel. I struggled with that tire iron for a good 15 minutes before sitting on the shoulder reevaluating my life choices. Just as I was about to give in and call AAA, a state patrol car pulled up right behind my car. I thought to myself, hey, maybe this guy will be strong enough to break this stupid nut loose. As he came around the back of my car, I stood up and threw my hand in the air for a friendly wave and to ask for his help, not even thinking about the fact that I was still holding that tire iron. I guess he feared for his safety because the only thing I remember right after the wave was a sharp jolt to my entire body, which dropped me where I stood. I came to, face down on the dusty shoulder with a splitting headache. The officer then apologized for jumping the gun, so to speak, as he was trying to remove the taser prongs from me and offered me some water. I said that I understood and asked if he could possibly help me get back on the road. The officer helped me to my feet, dusted me off a little, and went to see what he could do with that lug nut. Damned if he didn't break that nut loose with one hand on that tire iron. After some more awkward apologies from the officer, I was able to get back on the road again. Surely this day couldn't get any worse. The rest of the trip was uneventful, but also a bit unpleasant. I had a splitting headache, no coffee, a wet crotch, sore back, and a little blood where the taser prongs had stuck into my torso. As I pulled up to the office, I noticed that I was still less than an hour late for work. Pretty impressive considering the morning I just had. As I made my way to my desk, I heard the booming sound of my supervisor's voice beckoning me to his office. Man, he sounds like he's had a morning like mine. I'll bet he'll laugh as soon as he hears my story. While trying to hold back tears and frustrated laughter, I told my boss about my whole morning, starting from my wife's breakdown all the way to the tasing. He just stared at me like I was on crack. After a full minute of him staring at me in disbelief, he told me that that was the lamest excuse for tardiness he had ever heard, and that there's no place in this company for liars. I was immediately fired. I went into shock right there in his office. I couldn't even find the words to express what I was feeling at that point. Within minutes, I was being escorted to my desk by security to gather my personal belongings, and then to the front gate while being told that I can never return to the property. As I got my car loaded up for the shameful drive home, I noticed my boss's brand new, shiny red sports car parked just off the company property. Somehow, he thought the car was safer on the street as opposed to being in the company lot. Something in my head just snapped. I dug through the office crap in my trunk and found that old tire iron. After doing a little body work on that shiny red car, I made my way toward home with the slightest smile on my face. I was in a daze for the most part and don't remember much of the ride home. Once in the driveway, I just left everything in the car and staggered into the house, looking for some support after the horrible morning I'd had. My wife was still wandering around the house like an angry wind-up doll, so assuming she wouldn't want to hear about it, I just went to bed, which is exactly where I should have stayed that day. Maybe tomorrow will be a better day. Hey guys, thanks for hanging out with me today. I hope you enjoyed that story. If you do, leave a comment down below. And if you get a chance, can you give this video a like? Maybe subscribe to the channel and click that little bell icon so you don't miss the fat guy with the beard telling you stories. See ya!